January has a way of making us look at our lives and think, I should be further along by now. Well, maybe it's a goal that you haven't reached yet. Maybe it's watching someone else succeed and quietly wondering why it hasn't happened for you. And if that thought has crossed your mind, pause with me for just a second. Who decided when you were supposed to start? Who set the timeline for your leadership, your calling, for your success? And when did we start believing that rushing means we're doing life or faith right? Because before any of that pressure showed up, well, God had already answered the most important question. And that's not what you should be doing, but who you are. Hi, friend. I'm Christina Ryan, a faith-based mindset and leadership coach. I help women break free from thought patterns that keep them stuck so they can discover the leader within and walk confidently into their God-designed purpose. And if January has stirred up any pressure, comparison, or that quiet feeling that you're already behind, well, friend, can I just tell you, you're not alone. I've been there, and I see this all the time. Capable, faithful women, well, they're not stuck because they're not doing enough, but they're unsettled because they started questioning themselves. So today, we're not starting with goals. We're not fixing anything. We're going back to the beginning. If you stay with me today, you're going to learn 3 keys that will help you remember something pretty easy to forget in seasons like this. You, my friend, are a capable, God-designed leader. And it's not because of what you've achieved, but because of who God is, who He says you are, and what He's already placed inside of you. So here are the 3 keys that we will walk through together. Key number 1 is remember who God is. Key 2 is remember who God says you are. And key number 3 is remember the gifts He's given you and why they matter. So before we talk about who you are, we have to start here with who God is. Because when God feels small, distant, or unclear, your confidence is going to feel fragile. And Genesis 1 doesn't begin with humanity. It begins with God, a God who created on purpose, who speaks life, who brings order out of chaos. When God speaks, things come alive. When God declares, things are established. And friend, that means your life, it isn't random. And this season that you're in is not wasted. The same God who spoke light into darkness is still speaking today over you. So when things feel uncertain, delayed, or even unclear, well, the question isn't, what am I doing wrong? It's, have I forgotten who God is? If you've been feeling shaky in your confidence lately, stay with me. This next part, well, it's where everything will start to settle. In Genesis 1, 26 and 27, God says, Let us make mankind in our image. So God created mankind in his own image. Before effort, before expectation, before performance, there was identity. God didn't look at humanity and say, let's see what they can accomplish. He said, let's make them in our likeness. That means your worth, well, it was never meant to be determined by how fast you move, how much you achieve, the title you have, or how your life compares to someone else's timeline. Your value was established long before performance ever entered the picture. Well, this is where so many women, so many of us get stuck. It's because comparison, well, it isn't just the thief of joy, but it distorts our identity. We start borrowing standards that God never set. We tell ourselves, I should already be there. I should be further along by now. And why haven't I figured this out? I should have figured it out by now. But who decided that? God didn't. Identity anchored in God's word, it frees you from someone else's timeline. And this is where identity begins to turn into purpose. God didn't just create you in his image. Friend, he also placed specific gifts inside of you. Their abilities and strengths and insights and leadership influences. And those gifts, they're not random. Purpose, simply put, is the best of what you have used to help others. So purpose isn't about proving yourself. It's about pouring yourself out. And this matters because purpose is your calling. It's not your assignment. Assignments change with seasons. Our titles shift, our roles evolve, circumstances change around us, but our calling stays consistent. It's how God wired you to serve, to lead, and to love others. And here's the shift that most people miss. Purpose isn't for you, it's for others. When we forget that, purpose starts to feel like pressure. But when we remember it, purpose feels like a possibility. So let's pause right here. We're not pausing to figure anything out. We're not going to make a plan. I just want you to take notice. I want you to ask yourself honestly, without judgment, the following questions. Where have I been trying to prove my purpose instead of living from what God has already placed in me? What comes naturally to me that I've been downplaying? What do people consistently come to me for? Is it advice, encouragement, clarity, leadership? And who might benefit if I stopped hiding that gift just to notice what rises? God doesn't usually shout out our purpose. He often whispers that still, small voice in you, calling you to greater things. This is the shift I want you to take with you. Purpose comes before performance. God doesn't ask you to prove your value before he entrusts you with purpose. He invites you to live from who you are. not perform for who you think you need to be. When purpose comes first, well, pressure loosens its grip. Comparison, it quiets down. And your next step feels clearer. Identity comes before assignment and calling before outcomes. So grab a piece of paper or maybe open a note on your phone. And at the top, I want you to write, before I do anything else this year, I will remember who I am. Then underneath it, I want you to write, I am made in the image of God. I do not have to earn my worth. There's no fixing. There's no striving. There's just remembering. And friend, I want you to carry this phrase with you. My worth is in the Word. And if you're realizing that some of the thoughts driving your decisions, well, they don't line up with the truth, friend, it's not failure. It's awareness. And I created a resource. It's called the Toxic Thought Detox. It's a workbook I designed to help you gently identify the thoughts eating at you and replace them with truth that brings peace instead of pressure. This is how you practice what we're talking about. Friend, you don't have to rush. You don't have to prove yourself. And you don't have to measure your life against someone else's timeline. Your worth, it's already settled. Before the goals, before the noise, go back to the beginning. Remember who God is, so that you remember who you are. And remember, you're not alone. See you next time, friend.